Wait, say that again? You don't do what?
Half birthdays.
Oh, who does that? Don't tell me you do that.
I notice when it's my half birthday, be like, hey, it's my half birthday, but I won't be like, hey guys, let's get a cake and have a party.
I don't do that. I've never done that. Is that like a thing?
Not unless you're.
I don't
really
know,
conceited.
but I've talked to a lot of women where they're like, my birthday is the whole week. That's not how birthdays work.
Well,
you get one day.
just celebrating. I don't know. All right, let's get This is going to be fun. Okay, we'll keep this short. We're already at 3 o'clock, so we got.
Yeah, I got a photo meeting.
I'm going to be. What time's that?
3 o'clock. Which, as I've told you before, meetings that start at a time start 15 minutes later.
Okay, well, we'll cut that out.
I'll remember that.
You're
so I
going to
can
be late
from now on.
You're going to be late for that meeting. So. Hello, and welcome to this season of Alter Eagle. I am your host, Laura Krigo. Let's keep the conversation going. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. For a long time, I suffered with depression and anxiety. I had tried therapy before, but struggled finding a therapist I connected with until I found BetterHelp. That's why I am so excited to share BetterHelp's mission to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, because finding a therapist can be hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online. Remote therapy sessions, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. Click the link in description and receive 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. And by clicking that link, you support this channel. Plus, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. I was struggling for a long time, and BetterHelp was where I found my therapist, Whitney, who I still see weekly for almost 2 years now. So, if you're struggling, like I was, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in description or go to betterhelp.com/Alter Eagle. That's betterhelp.com/Alter Eagle. There's no better time than now to start your mental health journey. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. This episode is brought to you by R.W. McDonald & Sons Incorporated, Robert Stevens Jewelers. Thank you to our sponsors for your support on our first season of the Alter Eagle podcast. We'll keep this quick. All right, welcome to another episode of Alter Eagle. So today I'm sitting down, this is very exciting, with these three amazing gentlemen. We have Eagle Sports editor Jake Adams with us, sports writer Derek Pyda, and sports writer Brendan Howe. How are we doing, guys? I don't know why I started clapping. I was going to do that, and then I started clapping my hands like an idiot. Okay.
I just like that Brendan did it right after you called us amazing. He starts by just parroting you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but thank you for joining me. Yeah, how are we feeling? How are we feeling about the first, well, we just recorded the third episode, so the first one was live. I don't know how you feeling.
I like it. I mean, we've done the podcast strictly for like high school football for a number of years, going back to, I think, 18 was the first year we did it, but this is more expansive. I thought the way we opened up at Butler High School with the pep rally was really cool. And, hey, we're only as good as the guys who are on the show. Our show's only as good as the guys that are on here. And I've got two incredible teammates when it comes to the podcast.
Oh, I agree with you. So, I mean, and Derek, you've been at the Butler Eagle the longest. So you've been here since 2002. So right after you left Clarion.
I left the Clarion in December of 2000, and I got here in April of 2002. So. Okay. There was a little bit of time in between there.
Okay, a little bit of a...
I was sipping out of a sippy cup at that age.
Oh, my God.
Across the street, right?
Not yet. No, not then.
Not that.
I was done with sippy cups by the time I got back here. So.
Okay, good.
That's good. Okay. That's good. I'm glad.
Yes, that is good. That is good. Yeah, the first podcast was Upon Further Review. So we don't have to get into that. That's a good name, but we switched it for a couple of different reasons. We wanted people to find you guys, and there was a lot of those out there. So I love that name, but we wanted to make sure that you were found. Brendan, you played football at Butler, and you've talked about this a little bit about that, experience, like now being on the other side and reporting on it. I don't know, any like podcast insight that you want to give into this and what you're excited about maybe digging into?
Well, part of the reason I kind of came into this career was because I wanted to stick around sports and mainly football, but It was weird being on the stage there, kind of putting myself in those kids' shoes, being in the crowd. Like, we didn't do things like that when I was in high school. Like, we didn't have – I honestly knew who John was. I probably couldn't have pointed him out at that point. Like, kids on the team would talk about, like, hey, I just talked to the guy from the newspaper. I always wanted to be interviewed by John. He never interviewed me, never had a reason to.
I was going to throw that in myself, but
I was going to say, well, I mean, what position did you play?
But
and how often?
Wide receiver and not very. But yeah, I think it was cool that we kind of connected with the Butler football team there. And I think, especially this season, I've covered football for 3 seasons here already. Like even yesterday, going out to Mars and talking for the feature. I enjoy getting out and actually getting to know people. And around sports, just put a face to the names, like especially showing them who I am and kind of letting them get to know me too. So I think it's been really cool that we've made a connection with the community in the way that we have with this podcast. Like people have told me that they're listening to it. Like when I mentioned in my post-game interview at Current City the other day, it's like, yeah, I chose you guys to win. He's like, yeah, I know, I listen. So that was pretty cool that they're actually taking their time to listen to us.
Yeah. So we talk, like when we first were putting the podcast together, we were talking about music and stuff to kind of put a sound together. And, obviously with licensing and stuff, we couldn't really pick the music we wanted. So I know that you have a pretty good range of music that you like, because you like country music, right? But you also like hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Derek, what would you say is your sort of genre? Let's get into it. And then we're going to talk to Jake next.
I like Motown, but I'm talking not new Motown, like old Motown. Temptations, Four Tops, Supremes, Junior Walker and the All-Stars.
Nice.
I've never heard of any of that.
But honestly,
you've never heard of the Temptations?
Do you remember the Case Logics
so.
for CDs?
Yes, yes.
Where the sheets that you put the...
I have one of those with all of my CD. I still have my CDs in one of those.
I have.
The big one.
I still have the 2 from college, and if you go through my 2 Case Logics, I go from Bruce Springsteen to Motown to Jimi Hendrix, John Denver.
Nice, John Denver.
Classical music, like classical, like I'm talking Beethoven and Mozart. That's. I have a wide range of music, but I have not yet brought myself to listen to this guy's playlist.
I just enjoyed that Springsteen, the quintessential sports reporter artist, is in that list.
Born to run, man. Born to run.
I have like a Snapchat video from actually yesterday was my first day ever working here. Yeah, I know we've talked about like when I was an intern. Yesterday makes 3 years.
Your anniversary, okay.
Yeah,
not the half anniversary though, right?
No, not half anniversary.
Okay, because Brendan celebrates half birthdays.
I
know you didn't. No, it just was funny that
it's funny. I have a
with that.
Snapchat video where I remember driving to a football game and I'm like, here I am listening to like trap music as I am a grown man going to cover a high school football game. Like, I thought it was kind of funny. So Derek, it would be a culture shock for him to listen to what I listen to.
One of these weekends, I'm going to lend you my Gordon Lightfoot CD.
Oh God.
You could have me just look them up on Spotify.
You guys need to bring that book in next week, and maybe we need to take a quick
my
flip.
CDs?
Yeah,
I will. I'll bring it in.
That could be interesting. I like that. Jake.
Yes.
Music. Talk to us.
I
know when he brought up Drake, you were very much like, I don't care. I don't care.
That last week's episode, I just don't.
Like,
I am very ambivalent.
I don't care.
I don't.
You're like, but I mean, what? He's like, I don't care. That's great.
So like, I grew up in a family that like listened to, it would definitely be considered like the golden oldies now, but like in the late 90s and early 2000s when I'm a kid, like it was considered classic rock station. So it was AC/DC, it was Black Sabbath,
yes.
Aerosmith, Pink Floyd, all of those bands. I think like the most modern band my dad started listening to at one point was Disturbed with Down with the Sickness came out. I think we might have introduced that to him.
Yeah.
Because it sounded to him like Metallica or like Black Sabbath, which he's not like this hardcore rocker, but that was just the stuff that he listened to growing up. So that was like all of my influence growing up. And the first album that I ever got, the first actual album that I got that was a burned copy back when that was a thing was Green Day's American Idiot. The first album I bought with my own money in a store was Fall Out Boy's From Under the Cork Tree. Mm-hmm. So like I've never considered myself a scene kid, but I listened to a lot of Fall Out Boy. I listened to a lot of, I got into a little bit of My Chemical Romance in the last few years, mainly because like my fiance listened. She was a scene girl growing up. From everything she tells me, I don't think we would ever have crossed paths. at any other point in our lives except for the moment that we actually did cross paths.
Do you want to tell us about that moment, or do we not want to talk about that?
Sure. Like I'll
Things
finish,
I can edit. Yes.
I'll
Sorry.
finish up I listen to still Fall Out Boy. Like Imagine Dragons became my favorite band, which I know at this point is the Nickelback of the modern rock era. But like I
like
them.
Nickelback.
Nickelback's fine, but like I understand why they became so memed in like the last 20 years because they became so ubiquitous. But like Imagine Dragons is that now, but I got into that back in college when they first came out, and so like that always will be a band that resonates with me a little bit. Chevelle was in there for a while. I still listen to Disturbed. I'll still throw on some Avenged Sevenfold every now. But it's like the rock like scene type of rock that I listen to a lot of, and that's just like my lane. Like I don't really listen to a whole lot of Drake or Kendrick Lamar. Mallory listens to Kendrick Lamar all the time.
I'm not a fan of Mallory's now.
Like she.
Oh,
she's
you
got
don't
the
like
one-
Kendrick?
I like Drake. I'm on the Drake side. Everybody just hopped on the Kendrick Lamar bandwagon.
Got it. Yeah, because
but
there's that thing, right?
You know, when Kiki, Do You Love Me, they were all dancing to that when I was in college. And now Kendrick Lamar makes a song that is pretty catchy, but Drake is 10 times better. He's just jealous. So
Wow. Okay. So
All
yeah,
right.
Jake, tell us a little bit more about what brought you here. I mean, I know the job brought you here, but before this, you had some experience in other parts of the country.
Sure, yeah. So I went to college at Temple. My first job out of college was at the Carlisle Sentinel, which was about 20 minutes west of Harrisburg. I was a sports reporter there at the age of 22, about 14 months after I was hired there. My sports editor left. They made me interim sports editor, then full-time sports editor. And then there was some staff restructuring where I was sports editor, then I was assistant sports editor, then I was sports editor again. And I stayed there for another 7 years. I was there for 7.5 total, 8.5 total. I'm losing track of time at this point. Great place. I worked with some really awesome people there. Butted heads with my boss a lot if Jeff listens to this, but he also pushed me in a lot of ways that I'm very thankful for. He was one of my better bosses that I've had. After that, being a Lee Enterprises paper, Rachel Crater over at the Wisconsin State Journal, she's now higher up in Lee Enterprises overall, brought me over, basically a promotion within the company, but moving 15 hours away to be assistant sports editor there, where I helped lead high school coverage across the state with a couple different papers that Lee owned within Wisconsin. I only stayed there for 9 months. We had some job issues in the house that necessitated a move. Louisville Courier-Journal called, offered me a job for an assistant sports editor. I took that. 2 months after that, my boss left, so I became interim sports editor for 8 months. A lot of things went wrong in that job. I stepped out of journalism for a little bit, was working at UPMC for 6 months here, and then in May, took this job here. Was feeling ready to get back into journalism. It was kind of a nice transition where the stuff didn't work with UPMC after my 6-month preliminary period there, and now and just as that was happening, this job was opening up, and it was like, okay, this feels like the right time. So it's been almost 10 years in the business in a couple different spots, a lot of different bosses, experiences, markets to work with, and it's been each step, even if there's been some struggles, has been like a nice learning experience along the way.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, welcome. I mean,
Thank you.
And then you got here and I was like, and you're going to be on a podcast. So
And I had to deal with Brendan, and I had to deal with Derek. Derek's worst of all.
Nah, you guys are great.
We love you, Jake.
So, I went through this little thing that I wanted to do because I want to, talk about football specifically. I'm a huge NFL fan, so I did want to talk about, ESPN comes out with this, like ranking the top 100 players every year. And I wanted to see, where there was like a Steelers player ranked against, let's just say a Philadelphia Eagles, right?
Why did you do this?
I think that was interesting because you're an Eagles fan. So,
Breaking news on the podcast, thanks.
So talking about, right now they have, I got to mute that again. Right now they have number 21 is A.J. Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles. So
Stud.
Do we want to talk about him? Last year he was ranked 19th. Don't want to, bash on him too much. So he dropped
I'd take
a little
George
bit.
Pickens any day.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So, but specifically talking about him, because I wanted to take some notes on him. He's, they have their new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore?
Yep.
So they're talking about implementing more slants and other over the middle throws. So
A lot of
just
pre-motion,
talking about, yeah.
Pre-snap motion, I should say, yeah.
So talking about him just a little bit in predictions, do you have any idea, like what would your predictions be for him specifically for
Oh man,
for Brown this season?
I'm bad with like the individual prediction stuff. I really like AJ Brown. He's the best receiver I think the Eagles have had in my tenure, and that's even counting the fact that Terrell Owens was there. He's much less of a headache than Terrell Owens was.
He doesn't do sit-ups in his driveway?
He may do that. I don't know, but he doesn't do it with cameras in front of him and his agent next to him. So, and calling out the quarterback. He's been remarkably healthy for most of his career. I have no reason to doubt that won't be the case. But obviously, with any sport and any athlete, like health is a big part of making a prediction. If he's healthy, and if Kellen Moore's offense sticks with the whole lineup, like the huge question is what happens with Jason Kelce being retired. How good is that offensive line going to be? Which we can get into another day. But I'd say like AJ Brown's and he could easily again get like 1,400 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think that's roughly about where he's been most years. They've got to give the ball to Devontae Smith, and now you've got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, who's the best running back the Eagles have had probably ever, at least on pure talent. And Dallas Goedert's one of the best tight ends in the league. Like there's mouths to feed here. Brown has been largely good about understanding he is one of several. He is not the guy all the time, and some days it's going to be Devontae getting the lion's share of the work. So, I think you might see some quiet weeks of 2 or 3 catches, but that's been kind of the MO for the last few years that he's been here. And I could see, again, another big 1,400 yard season and a couple touchdowns. The team's high variance, though. They could win a Super Bowl with this roster, or they could go 10-7 and barely squeeze into the wild card. I don't know.
You're pretty close to their predictions. I mean, they have him for 93 receptions, 1,307 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So, yeah. All right, so to my Steelers guys, TJ Watt is ranked number 10. So, which moved him up a little bit. Obviously, I'm just going off of something that I thought would be interesting for us to talk about.
10th overall.
Is Myles Garrett ahead of him?
You know what? That's a good question because
I'm sure he is.
I will find that out. But what I was going to say was, you guys are so good with all this stuff. So with tackles and sacks, what would you say from both of you for him? He's got, since entering the NFL, in 2017, he has 20 strip sacks, which I just learned today actually technically what that means, which I'm kind of excited because I thought I know football, but like I'm still learning things, and that's the most in the NFL. So that's kind of a fun fact. But what would your predictions be? Any thoughts on that? Do you like to do that? I think it's fun to.
Obviously, like Jake said with Brown, if he stays healthy, Watt, I could see him getting 17, 18 sacks this year, but that's with Alex Highsmith on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Herbig's been pretty good this preseason too, so that's a really deep defensive line.
Yeah, if those two guys could combine for between 35 and 40 sacks, I mean that's
okay.
You got it's one thing to have pressure a really good guy from one side. If you can have another guy from the other side, the old New York Jets, they used to be called the Sack Exchange.
Yep. Great nickname, by the way. That man, I miss those.
Oh,
old
I love
nicknames.
that.
Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko. I mean, those guys were good.
Cool. Okay. Any thoughts on tackles, Brendan?
He plays edge, so usually that's kind of like setting the edge, making sure running backs can't get out, kind of turn them back in. If you include sacks, I would say somewhere around 80 tackles. Too much, Derek? You think? I think that's pretty feasible, right? In 17
for
games.
what?
Yeah,
I think that's a little high actually. For what? I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but go for it. I mean, you're not going to lose money here. This isn't like a bet.
I was actually going to bet.
I mean, next time we'll do that. Next time.
I was going to bet Jake here. I was going to bet Jake here.
Are we allowed to do that? Yeah.
Who has more touchdowns, George Pickens or A.J. Brown? I'd take George Pickens.
Oh, okay.
I'm inclined to agree.
I'll bet you a
with you.
Chipotle bowl.
I'm inclined to agree with you, though.
I don't think he likes Chipotle as much as you do, though.
I'm inclined to agree with you, though, because the situations are different. Pickens is much more of the 1 and 1A and 1B of that offense there. So he's going to get fed. He's going to get fed a lot more. Whereas, like I mentioned, A.J. Brown, there's going to be weeks where he's got 3 receptions and 4 targets because the offense is just going to go to Devontae or Goddard or someone else. So I think just based on pure volume, Pickens is going to get it. But I also don't want to like sit here and make this a competition. So I like Pickens a lot. He seems really good. You were saying that you like receivers that
kind of aren't a diva, and Derek knows this very well. My favorite football player of all time is Antonio Brown.
I get it.
Even
though.
as a kid, I loved watching like the
okay.
NFL films of Chad Johnson dancing, like the river dance or whatever he did, and all the celebrations. I loved that as a kid. I like a receiver that has diva tendencies.
See, this is where you might be surprised with me. Like I'm not that like narrow-minded with this stuff. I loved Ocho Cinco back before the NFL started banning all the celebrations. I thought they were hilarious, and I loved it because it's a game. Like, go celebrate. Yeah, I don't care. I don't want to hear act like you've been there before. No, it's quiet, old man. Like, let them go have some fun. Let him walk out there and row his boat. Let him pretend he's Tiger Woods. Like, this stuff's great. I just didn't like Terrell Owens because he could blow up teams. It wasn't because he celebrated on the field. It's because he was an arrogant jerk to his teammates by all accounts, and he would go nuclear on them all the time.
It's like me with you guys.
Nuclear.
I didn't
Nuclear.
I'm very
I had
player empowerment and stuff, but I just didn't
don't have
like
that
his
sound.
fit
I'll
with
find
that
it.
team. I do
So
want to
Myles Garrett, was it the one you were asking about? So Myles Garrett is ranked 4th. So
Oh my
the
god!
Browns.
On.
and
Yeah.
Micah Parsons is 7.
Yeah.
Neither of them are better.
Well,
Micah Parsons.
apparently
Penn
ESPN thinks
State's
they
Micah
are.
Parsons, by the way.
Hey,
Harrisburg's Micah
Oh,
Parsons.
there you go.
All right, so I have 5 very quick trivia questions for you gentlemen. All right, there's no prize
Derek's
here.
gonna eat all of
It's
them.
just
up.
your pride, okay? Okay,
I
so
don't have any. What then?
so the first one got a little fumbled, so to speak, because Bruce Smith. Someone saw me researching Bruce Smith. I was looking for other information on Bruce Smith. So the first question is, which defensive end leads the NFL for number of sacks? So it's Bruce Smith.
Thank you, Brendan.
What years were they recorded from, and what is the number?
85 to 2000.
201.
You're close. You're close. And you're close. So it's 85 to 2003, and it's 200.
Oh,
That's really close. Okay. Number 2. Which player was nicknamed the Fridge?
William Perry. Yeah, Bears.
Dang. You guys are good. Okay.
Who is still, by the way, like 360 pounds. The guy's like 62 years old, and he's like
Really?
a Mack truck walking down the street.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense. What was the nickname of the Washington offensive line in the 1980s?
Hogs.
Oh,
I
jeez.
knew Derek's just gonna take
That
all.
probably was an easy one. Some of these I was like, that's what? I know those off the top of my head. Okay. 2 more left. Who has the most rushing yards as a rookie in history?
Oh, that's a good one.
Adrian Peterson?
Eric Dickerson.
Wow.
1,808 yards, 1983.
Holy moly, you're like an encyclopedia.
Too bad
Okay.
these aren't counting toward my record.
Okay. So the last one has 2 parts to it. There are 3 of them, and they're all tied for the same number. So which non-QB has the most Pro Bowl appearances in history? There's 3 of them, and they all have the same.
Merlin Olsen.
Bruce Matthews.
Okay, Bruce Matthews, yes. Merlin Olsen, yeah. What's the third one? Who's the third one?
We mentioned this all show. Is this Gary Anderson? Is it a kicker?
Mm-mm.
Most Pro Bowl. Tom Brady.
Non-QB.
No. Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Bruce Matthews.
I said Bruce Matthews.
Yeah, we already got Bruce, and we got Merlin Olsen.
How?
14.
Can you give
I
us
think
the-
it's 14.
Jackie Slater.
14 is the number.
Okay.
No.
So not a running back.
I'm not going to tell you what position.
Ray Lewis.
Reggie White.
Keep going. There's one more. Let's see if I can look it up and see, so I can give you a little bit
Cordell
more.
Stewart.
Randy Moss.
It's a
No.
tight end.
Tight end. It's not Gronk. He didn't play long enough.
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is a good
He
answer.
played for Atlanta Falcons, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Tony Gonzalez.
and- yes.
Okay.
So I got it first.
Yeah, you
Tony.
did.
Got
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Oh,
Brendan-
I'm
Brendan-
sorry. Did you throw? I'm sorry.
I
I
did.
was like totally looking at this. That's all I have for you guys. I didn't really come. I kind of decided as you were sitting here talking,
Hey.
I was like, ooh, I want to throw some extra questions in.
We each got one right, at least one, so
You
I'm
did.
happy.
Derek's like,
Yeah,
I
because
got-
if these guys walk upstairs mad, it's going to be a long night. Let me tell you. You
Well,
don't want
okay.
to get these guys frustrated.
You guys know who the Nigerian Nightmare was, do you?
Christian Okoye.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. Okay, that's it.
What college did he go to?
Oh.
Azusa Pacific.
Oh.
Wow.
Of course you would know.
What? So I have to ask you, like, when did this, like, since you were a kid, did you just, like, read
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
You were just obsessed with
Yes, but here's the
sports.
thing, and I'm
Or was it,
going
like,
to
football
leave you
specific?
with this because
Yeah.
it's stuff that I watched when I was a kid
Yeah.
for the most part and read. If you asked me to name as many current Steelers as I can right now, I'd probably be able to name maybe over 20, 22, 23 Steelers, current Steelers.
Okay.
If I named the Super Bowl 14 roster that played and beat the Rams in Super Bowl 14, I'd be able to get probably about 35 of those guys. I know more Steelers from the year I was 1 year old than I know current Steelers.
Wow.
Here's the thing with me. I'm still a Steeler fan. I root for the logo. I'm not really worried about individual players. I root for the logo. If you got a Steelers helmet on, I'm rooting for you, but I really don't care who you are.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it.
All right. Okay.
He even rooted for Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said you rooted for Kenny Pickett too.
I did. I wanted him to succeed. I'm glad he didn't.
Hey, now he's
Yeah.
Jake's problem. Yeah,
He might not be my
my
problem much
gosh.
longer. With his cut down days right now, he might be gone.
Well, so these guys, their episodes drop every Thursday, same platforms that Alter Eagle is on. They have some really fun segments that they do. They do a Beyond Butler segment that Brendan does, so he'll talk about anything outside of Butler County, which I think is really fun. And then we have Stump Derek, which is a really great trivia question. So you're 1-1 for Stump Derek, right? Last week,
1-1.
1-1 for Stump Derek. So Brendan got you last week, but this week you
Dave
you
Parker,
redeemed
the Cobra.
yourself.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna spend my whole beach vacation weekend looking up trivia questions to get
That
past
is such
him.
a terrible use of a beach vacation.
Oh no, I'm gonna. Have
Where
fun.
are you going? What beach are you going to again?
Well, we're spending
Moraine.
Maureen. Wait, say it again. How'd you say?
Moraine.
We're spending Saturday night in Richmond at one of my best friends. He lives down there.
Cool.
We're going to visit him for the first time, and then we're spending Sunday at Virginia Beach. So
Nice.
we get to watch college football at his on Saturday, then Sunday just throw footballs around on the beach. So
Yeah.
Brendan, I'd tell you not to do anything I wouldn't do, but that's a lot. So I want you to have fun, but just be smart about it.
Be
I just hope he's
smart
back on
about it.
Tuesday.
Be smart about it. Yeah, and they do their weekly picks too, so that's a really fun one. And then we're keeping records. So as of right now, Brendan is up for week 1. But to listen to these guys, check them out, Ion Sports. And I don't know, do you guys have anything else you want to say? Because I've taken a lot of your time today. So
No, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We're excited about this, and we hope people are excited to watch and listen to us continue to grow. Like we're going through our growing pains right now. We're infants in this whole situation. Our first show together was in front of
Infants.
a live audience. Like,
Hey.
that's a really scary thing to do.
I never thought I'd refer to myself as a babe. I'm a babe right now. Brendan, you're a babe. Jake, you're a babe.
Absolutely, my fiance tells me that all the time. But like
she should.
we're
I mean,
excited-
that's what fiancés are supposed to do,
Exactly.
right?
Can you
Does
text
your wife,
her that?
does
for
your
me,
wife
please?
do that, Derek?
No.
She doesn't. No, but what was it that got you with her, right? That she accepts the fact that you don't care about. Do you want to talk about that real quick? You talked about it on the podcast a little today.
She cares about.
You were talking about today that she. What were we talking
that
about?
he's boring and she doesn't mind.
Oh, that was
To put
it.
You know
that
what?
way.
I think for a very
You're like, I don't-
small percentage of women out there, boring is good. Boring is
Nerdy's
good.
good.
because
Nerdy's
the thing
good.
Nerdy is good. Nerdy is
Yep.
good. I'm
She's the
telling you,
only
nerdy
woman,
is a
she's
thing.
the only woman I'm ever gonna
Yeah.
be with. So I think that level of security,
Yeah.
she likes that. She likes knowing that I'm always gonna be there, even if my idea of a fun Saturday night is researching things on ProFootballReference.com.
I was having a
Come on, babe, sit next to me. Let's look up how Mark Malone did in 1986.
I was having a conversation.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's the key.
I was
All
having a
right.
conversation last night, and I said I could care less, and then I stopped myself. I was on the phone talking
To
Haley.
his.
I'll say her name. Listen, and I stopped myself. I said I could care less, and I was like, no, it's I couldn't care less, and she loved it. She was like, you use the correct term. Like
You corrected
I
yourself.
corrected myself. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Growth and
Okay.
maturation from Brendan Howe, ladies and gentlemen.
Sovereignty.
I'm a big kid now. He's grown up. He likes Chipotle, and yeah, I'm excited about it. I
He
think
likes
these
teddy
guys
bears,
are doing great.
long walks on the beach.
Country music and his cowboy hat.
My dog wears a Pirates jersey around the house now.
Yeah, you have to talk about your dog really quickly because
My
he's
dog
pretty cool.
Is over a year and a half now. he's like a built-in alarm clock, wakes me up every morning on the dot by barking. And I love him to death. Like I tell him, and I say this literally every night before I go to sleep. I tell him I wouldn't trade you for $1 billion, and he doesn't understand what I'm saying. So
He knows, though. He senses your energy. He's a golden retriever. What's his name again? Murphy?
Rambo.
Yeah.
Rambo.
The Amish named him, and I was like, you know what? That sounds kind of cool. Like they won't know the song. You probably might not even know. It's Bryson Tiller. He has a song called Rambo, and I was like, I can put this on Instagram story with him and the song Rambo. Is like, I love that. So
All about the gram.
See, what's funny is that the dog's name is Rambo, and my first thought was the movie, right? Yeah. But he's talking about a song that I've never heard of.
I know what the movies, like the gist are. I've never watched it.
Wow.
You've never seen Rambo
You've
movies?
never seen Rambo?
I know they're on AMC like every Sunday. So.
Yeah, they probably are. Check it out.
I'll have to watch with him.
Sly, man. You got to check it out.
Don't tell Sylvester Stallone that he needs to take a shower. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Should I watch the movies and then for Halloween I'm taking off Halloween. Jake,
listen, you're getting ready for the turkey bowl, so you should be in shape to do Rambo for. Yeah, you gotta be.
Should I dress him up as Rambo, like Rambo as Rambo?
You'd have to put like the machine gun,
that would
like
be so funny. Have
bullets across his chest, and then he's gonna have to have a. Could you imagine?
And put like face paint under him. That'd be cool. I might do that.
Hey, whatever
numbers on Instagram.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
And after Rambo, it's going to be a showing of Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald.
I don't know what that is.
And then Predator after that. Because those all seem to go together. So Pretty in Pink does not fit in there, but I'm just saying that's how random AMC. That's how random AMC is. You haven't seen Predator either?
I love the 80s.
All right, so that's going to be it now. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, check it later. Thank you for tuning in to Alter Eagle. Join me every Monday for a new episode. And be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Instagram at Alter Eagle Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay hopeful, stay kind.